Hello everybody, I'm Chris Sims from ComicsAlliance.com, and if you think you know comics, here's a dozen facts that you might not know about everyone's favorite Canadian X-Men, Wolverine. First up, Wolverine is Canadian. Okay, that part you probably knew. What you might not know is that he was created as a specific request from Marvel Editor-in-Chief Roy Thomas, who asked writer Len Wein to create a character with the short stature and tenacious attitude of a Wolverine. The costume design came from art director John Romita Sr., who gave Wolverine his retractable claws, and thus provided us with the signature snikt noise, as a measure of practicality, because he liked characters that were able to, quote, tie their shoes. You may notice that Wolverine's boots do not have laces. While Wolverine originally made his first appearance as a cameo in The Incredible Hulk number 180, and his first full appearance in 181, his full origin wasn't told until 27 years later, in a book that was appropriately called Origin. In this, Wolverine, who had always gone by the name Logan, was revealed to be actually named James Howlett, the son of wealthy Canadian landowners. Logan, Thomas Logan, was actually the name of the man who killed them, traumatizing young James and causing him to take the name Logan when he left. It's sort of like if Batman called himself Handgun Mugger. This traumatic experience also caused the activation of young James Howlett's mutant powers, namely a healing factor and a set of bone claws that came out through his knuckles. We'll get back to the claws in a second, but for now, let's talk about the healing factor. While this allows Wolverine to recover from virtually any wound, up to and including having his flesh vaporized by the heat of the sun, it's really only part of the picture. Wolverine's healing factor is actually a function of a constant state of mutation. His body is constantly reinventing itself, and if left unchecked, this will cause Wolverine to change into a far more feral state with even worse hair than he usually has. So what keeps it in check? Simple. Adamantium. While the unbreakable super metal is most commonly linked with Wolverine, it actually predates him by a few years, first appearing in the pages of Avengers number 66, which was written by Roy Thomas. There, it was part of Ultron, the robot menace that would come back to vex the Avengers several times over the next 40 years. In addition to being almost unbreakable, adamantium's also toxic to human beings. Think about lead poisoning times a million, and you've got an idea of what Wolverine's healing factor spends most of its time dealing with, and why he turned into feral Wolverine when that adamantium was ripped out by Magneto. Incidentally, there are 13 types of adamantium. Wolverine's is adamantium 9. The adamantium was bonded to Wolverine's skeleton by Department H, a top-secret Canadian government agency that was doing what all top-secret Canadian government agencies do, and was trying to create a super soldier. The result was the Weapon X program, which produced Deadpool, Sabretooth, and of course Wolverine. What wasn't revealed until later, though, was that it wasn't actually Weapon X. It was Weapon 10, part of the much larger Weapon Plus program designed to create super soldiers that also had a hand in producing Captain America and Nuke, the Daredevil villain who has a flag on his face. None of this, of course, was intended at the start of things. In fact, Wolverine's claws were originally meant to be part of his equipment, not his mutant powers. His powers were meant to be the healing factor and his enhanced senses. It wasn't until X-Men 98 that it was revealed that the claws were actually stored in his forearms and not in his gloves. As a result, every time Wolverine pops his claws, they're actually cutting through his skin. Of course, the healing factor takes care of that almost immediately, but when he loses his healing factor, he ends up taking in a lot of really awful stuff, which is what happens if you, stab people and then retract those knives directly back into your forearms. Another thing Wolverine's healing factor is responsible for? A high tolerance for alcohol. Despite being shown pretty commonly to be a beer drinker, Wolverine's healing factor makes it almost impossible for him to actually get drunk. Or at least for him to actually stay drunk. There's one Spider-Man team-up story that's laid out in 3-panel sequences, where Wolverine will be drinking in panel 1, drunk in panel 2, hungover in panel 3, and then the whole thing repeats. One final piece of trivia: Wolverine is exceptionally popular. Again, you probably already knew that. But he's one of 2 characters who have served on all 3 of Marvel's major teams. The X-Men, of course, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four. The only other character to pull off this hat trick? Storm, Wolverine's fellow X-Men. That does it for You Think You Know Comics Wolverine, but we have only snicked the surface of what there is to know about this particular character. If you'd like to hear more, check out comicsalliance.com, and we'll be back with another installment of You Think You Know Comics.